Well, Razorback fans, we know that they continue to add players in the transfer portal on the football side of things with Sam Pittman, added a wide receiver as well as a safety. So are both these position groups going to be improved in 2025? Let's talk about it on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. A lot of things going on in Razorback land, and it is a Tuesday, so you know what that means, folks. It's been a little bit since we've done it, but it's a THV 11 Tuesday, and who better to talk more about the Razorback side of things than Tyler Cass, who's sports director of THV 11 down there in Central Arkansas. And Tyler, appreciate you joining us. Hopefully you had a great Christmas and New Year's holiday, man. How's everything going?
Oh, yeah. I'm just getting back in the swing of things. I pretty much from the day after the Liberty Bowl until yesterday, I had off. I unplugged, saw some family. It was nice. But, right back in the swing of things now.
Well, and I think Arkansas football, they've continued to try to be in the swing of things as far as the transfer portal goes. We'll talk a little bit about the wide receiver position from that edition, but literally when we were about to do this podcast, Arkansas had another portal pop as Caleb Wooden, who's the safety from Auburn, coming in and deciding to call the Hogs, literally, and making them their home. He's a guy who started a few games. He's also contributed a lot. He was there for 3 years and everything, but just what'd you make of not only him, but just the secondary in general, because we can go by position groups, but it seems like Arkansas has done a lot of work with Marcus Woodson and Travis Williams, making sure that the secondary has plenty of depth and also plenty of talent heading into next season.
Yeah, I think depth is the key word there, partially because, like even with Wooden, like if you just look at the numbers, it's like, okay, did some things, not too much, but clearly was an SEC talent, so who really knows? But it's almost at this point just throwing bodies out there, get him in time for spring practice and camps and stuff, and then just see what you got. But I mean, that's kind of what works. You go back and look. I mean, who's Arkansas's best ever get in the portal on the defensive side? Probably like a Drew Sanders. It's not like, I mean, I think he averaged like a tackle a game at Alabama or something like that. Like that's what you're getting is guys who have the talent, maybe haven't been able to see the field as much as they want and are looking for somewhere where they can get a shot. So I think that's Wooden, and that's most of these portal guys is you're going to give them a shot at more playing time than what they were seeing, and we'll see if that, SEC eval coming out of high school was real.
Well, it's also going to be interesting, too, not that it plays a huge role into it right now, but will eventually. Is, of course, there was the report that Darren Wilson, the cornerback's coach, left Arkansas, and I haven't heard anything since as far as is Arkansas going to actually hire another cornerbacks coach? Are they going to maybe make that 10th assistant coach somewhere else or at another position? But I think that's what's pretty fascinating is even though you lost your entire roster, essentially, as of right now, you've only lost one position coach going to another spot as a defensive coordinator over there at Georgia State. So that's another thing I'm going to be curious. Do you think that Arkansas stays with that cornerback coach, or do you think they maybe go a different direction? And since they can have 10 coaches do whatever they want with them?
Yeah, I mean, heck, why not add a third defensive coordinator? I feel like we almost forget with all the Travis Williams hype that, like, there's co-DCs over there on that side of the ball. So I think it would feel like a bad look to me coming off a season or a couple seasons really where you haven't gotten the most out of what you want from the defensive backs to not have a specific position coach there. Kind of like the knock for years of, hey, special teams hasn't been great and Arkansas doesn't have a special teams coordinator. I don't think that necessarily has helped as much the last couple of years as you'd want it to, but it feels like somewhere where based on the results on the field the last couple of years, you want to at least have a guy you can point to as, yeah, we got someone in charge. Like there's someone running this. Don't worry.
Yeah, I know. It's a hope that it's all going to go according to plan and that they do have a plan for it. But on the other side of the ball, though, Arkansas, of course, continues to try to build. His offense is the one that got really plucked the most. And wide receivers, not only just guys who transferred, but mainly just guys ran out of eligibility. Guys like Andrew Armstrong, Isaac TeSlaa, Tyrone Broden. And Arkansas was able to get another player, and I think I'm pronouncing his name right because a lot of these got great names for Arkansas. They got the all-name team, I think, going on. But Ismail Cece, who is a Stanford wide receiver, 6'1", 200 pounds and everything. But It's about, again, individually, are you going to replace Andrew Armstrong? No, because the dude's going to be playing in the NFL. But it is a question of, as an overall unit, are you improving and getting better? And Arkansas wide receivers, Taylen Green's going to have to throw to somebody, but do you feel like they're in a good position in the wide receiver group that they'll be maybe just as good, if not better, as a collective unit?
Yeah, as a collective unit, I think what you said there is kind of the key. Again, it's similar to bringing in the DBs. You're kind of throwing a bunch of guys at the wall and seeing what sticks. I don't think anyone, I could not wrong on that. Andrew Armstrong was not most people's, I think, guy pegged to be the guy coming out of a D2, and that's what he turned into. So now you've got, I believe it's Ismail Cece. I went back and actually found his Stanford commit video, and they were calling him Ish. So there's no H in the spelling of his first name. It's pronunciation. I don't know. We'll figure that out by next football season. But you throw him into the mix, and Omega Blake maybe. I mean, they got a bunch of guys, with different looking skill sets at wide receiver. Obviously, a lot of guys to replace, like you mentioned, the guys running out of eligibility. A Satania, who I think was supposed to be a bigger part of this offense this year than he turned out to be. And it's just, I mean, you got your offensive coordinator, you've got your quarterback. That's the continuity. As far as the targets go, trying to predict that the last couple of years is just, I mean, ever since, like, we knew Treylon Burks was the guy. There you go. It's going to go to Burks. After that, okay, replace him by committee. Who rises to the top? Who is Andrew Armstrong? I don't know that you need that necessarily. I think we thought this year was going to be more of a by committee approach, and it didn't turn out to be that. But yeah, it's about getting bodies in there at this point, getting them familiar with the system. And I do think the biggest advantage to the wide receivers is going to be the experience that Taylen Green has now, because the legs for Taylen are always going to be there. It's the arm and the decision making that can only benefit from another year in the system. And I mean, it's just, hopefully these guys are weapons. We'll see. It's all just to see. I mean, it's so tough in January at this point to say what anyone is.
Yeah, I know, but that's what makes it fun and interesting and mysterious about it all. But we'll shift gears a little bit and talk about Razorback basketball with the big game against Ole Miss coming up. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, folks, I got to tell you about our friends over at the Game Time app. We know that you love going to live events, whether it's in sports or music or theater or comedy shows. One of the favorite memories I don't know a lot of you always share is attending concerts and Razorback events. The energy and excitement will always be unforgettable, and it's always worth going. But now Game Time has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, Game Time Picks. This feature filters out all the fluff to show you only the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Recently, I was looking for tickets for the upcoming Razorback games as it's starting to be conference play. It's a little bit more difficult, and I didn't have any issue. With Game Time app, it was amazing deals, and you could even view the seat before you bought it. And the super deal was particularly impressive, offering great seats at unbeatable prices. Plus, the app's all-in pricing shows the total cost up front with no surprise fees at checkout. And the best part, when I won, I got paid instantly. Simple as that. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. We're also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. We know the NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways to pick up a W, and I love betting on which players will score a touchdown and how many points each team will score. All of that is extremely thrilling. So not only can you bet on who will win the game, but they also have bets for which players will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored, and so much more. So just visit FanDuel.com today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance to win $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the unofficial sportsbook partner of the NFL. Continuing our conversation with sports director of THV 11 down there in Central Arkansas, Tyler Cass. Now, here we go. A little bit of basketball stuff going on. Arkansas got trounced to the #1 team, Tennessee, on the road. I'm not saying that it was fine, but I don't think anybody expected to win. That's a tough game. Tennessee's really good, national championship caliber. But now you return home against an Ole Miss team that's also very good. But you're in Bud Walton and seems to be a lot more beatable. How do you feel like the Hogs will bounce back in this one against the Rebels?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, number one team in the country on the road for your first conference game. They weren't exactly set up to succeed. You'd like to see it be a little bit closer. You like some of those stats, not just the score, but the rebounding numbers, the shooting from deep to not be quite so lopsided. Uh, but it's a great chance to suddenly feel better about that. You can write it off a bit more as road game against number one if home game against number 23 goes a lot better. So yeah, it's a great chance for a bounce back. Ole Miss, I kind of got them in they haven't really played anybody category of those teams.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're not a good team. I mean, it's hard to say that about anyone in the SEC. But like if you look at their games against top competition, what is it? It's a game against Purdue, a game against Memphis, who's looked good but also lost to Arkansas State, and they lost both those games. So there's not a get right game in the SEC. That's there's momentum is going to be a crazy thing this year, game to game, but it's a good chance to kind of I think quell some of the fears that might have started to crop up after that Tennessee game.
Well, and the thing is like, you don't want to be overreactionary to a game like that Arkansas had, but they still have some issues. I mean, Nelly Davis has been a no-show for the most part this season. Physicality has definitely been a problem. But for the rest of this conference play, now that we're basically halfway point of the season, to you, what's the biggest concern that Arkansas has right now? At least the biggest fixable concern that they have right now.
Yeah, fixable being the key word there, because it's probably Nelly, because you expected him, I mean, to be an integral part of this team, especially offensively, and he just hasn't been that. I mean, there's a big part of me that goes, if it's really the wrist, just shut him down for a month. Just, go out there and say, all right, what you're contributing right now is not much. It's not the biggest loss, except for, maybe some more minutes on those legs for the other guards.
Yeah.
Sit him down, get him as close to 100% as possible, and who knows, maybe he can be your stretch run, your SEC tournament guy, and that's what it is. Because otherwise, I mean, if it's not the wrist, that's where it becomes a lot more troubling. If you can just wave it away as, well, he's a guy who you expect to be able to shoot the ball and be aggressive, and he can't do that because of this nagging injury, just shut him down. I think there's a lot that's happened this season that might make Cal's whole 7 to 8 real scholarship guys experiment be a 1-year thing, with just how little they've had a full roster, be it physical health or they've had some sicknesses as well. But that's kind of where I'm at with Nelly. If it's the wrist, great. Yeah, just sit him down for a month. He's not contributing much anyway, and you get him back, and then you can decide. If it's something else, you got all kinds of issues. The physicality, I mean, Tennessee, I think, is also just a bad matchup for Arkansas on the glass. You'd like to see a little bit more from the guards, but they are who we thought they are inside. I mean, outside of Adu, the bigs are not, big in the traditional sense. Z, Brazil, I mean, there's some physicality there, and I've liked what we've seen out of Brazil after the last couple of years, obviously, but he's not a guy who's, going to be banging bodies in the paint for the most part with bigs in the SEC. So you need more from your guards in that standpoint, especially, from a rebounding point of view. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think this team will go as far as Nelly Davis takes them, but if he is truly a no-show for the whole season, then expectations for what this season can be have to be adjusted a lot.
Well, Tyler, before I let you get out of here, man, I know it's a new year and THV 11 still continues on. So now the football season's getting close to at least wrapping up the season itself, but off season, all that. What's kind of the vibes and everything going on over there at THV 11? What you got going on here in the early part of 2025?
Well, this week I'm probably going to be on weather duty at the end of the week. We do the fun thing where I get to drive around in the snow to show you where not to drive. But
great.
So I'm looking forward to that. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, all in on the high school hoops front. We're gonna go out tonight and see big Arkansas target JJ Andrews from Little Rock Christian. We might remember his dad was pretty good at football. For the Hogs, and then the Eagles. They go up against Bryant. All kinds of big-time hoops, obviously, in Central Arkansas and throughout the state now. I mean, high school basketball in Arkansas, even in just the now decade or so that I've lived here, taken a huge step forward, and it's a lot of fun. So we're going all in on the high school hoops, and yeah, starting to think about baseball and softball. I mean, we're within a month of Arkansas softball season starting, so we got some fun stuff lined up there for February. And yeah, just all kinds of spring sports stuff to talk about, which is crazy considering, we got 6 inches of snow on the way. But
Yeah, I know. It's like Razorback baseball starts in, I think, like it's like 45 days or something crazy. So
well, you know how it goes. Opening weekend, the baseball gods will smile. We'll get a day of 65 and sunny and go, oh, great, spring sports are back. And then we'll get 2-3 weeks of, oh, Arkansas's taking 4 hours to beat a team 27-2, and it's 30 degrees. We're all standing out here going, let's just get through this.
yeah, it's a tale as old as time, and it's a tradition like no other. That's for sure. But Tyler, as always, man, we appreciate you joining us. Great stuff, and enjoy your week, and try to stay safe out there, as well as everybody here in the state of Arkansas and across the country are going to deal with this winter weather. But try to stay warm, and we'll be catching out with you next Tuesday.
Sounds good. Thanks, man.